Yossi Green is, without a doubt, one of the preeminent composers of our generation. He's composed hundreds of songs, so many of them hit songs for singers from all backgrounds. But before all of this, Yossi was just 21 years old, living in Seagate.
It's about Tavshin Mem Gimel. I'm working as a medical supply salesman at the time, and at night I'm writing a little music here and there.
One day, Yossi looks out the window and he sees a car pull up right in front of his house. A man walks out.
He was obviously not well, and he had come to America to start treatments which they could not do at the time in Israel.
This man's name was Rav Yosef Levi, and he was a very, very chashuv Rav. Back in the 1950s, Rav Yosef was the last hostbacher to the previous BELZER RABBI of Arla from Belz. And every day he would commute from Seagate to Manhattan for the treatment and then come back.
He had a tremendous amount of visitors. People came from all over. Big Rabbunim, Puparuf, big people came to visit him all the time.
And as the weeks turned into months, Yossi started feeling uncomfortable because he had never approached him to say Shalom Aleichem, to say hello. And the more time that passed, the more uncomfortable it got. It got to the point where before Yossi Green would come home from work, he would phone his wife and ask her, honey, is the man sitting on the patio outside? I don't want to bump into him.
The drift between me and him got wider and wider. He would be in the backyard, we live right on the ocean, and he'd be davening to the Rebbeinu Shalom like this, and he would be crying, and he would be... And I knew that he was davening for himself. And so I got even more kind of frightened to approach him. So one day there's a knock on the door, and my wife goes and she opens the door. And then she comes back and she says to me, he's here. I said, who's here? The guy from next door. He's here. Why? What is it? She says, Yossi, I don't know. Go to the door. He's asking for you, you know. And I go to the door and I see this beautiful face, mitgemacht, gelitten. And he looks at me and he says to me, all my life I lived in Israel. I never even left Israel. I had no interest of ever seeing America. Suddenly, the Rebbeinu Shalom reaches into B'nai Barak, picks me out with the Gewalt, and plants me over here in America. And where? In a place called Seagate, on this street, right next to you. And the whole world is visiting, and all the Rebbes, Rabbunim, everybody comes, me kimt, me trut, me begleit, but the person who lives right next to me, he doesn't come visit. So I said, you know what? You don't visit me? I'll visit you from now on. Maybe want to learn together a little bit, not long, a little bit.
In the backyard, there's a table, 2 chairs, 2 Gemaras. We'll start from brachas. What do you say? And Yossi said, sure, no problem.
And we got very, very close. We got close, I got very comfortable. My wife would take him sometimes, she would drive him for treatments. I realized this is big stuff. Where did I have an opportunity to sit with somebody who was literally the husband of Rabban Belzer?
One day, Rav Yosef Levi turns to Yossi and he says, Yossi, you know, this coming Sunday is my Rebbe's yard site. I'm wondering if I can ask you and a couple of friends to come over to my house, to my place. I'll prepare something and we'll have a yard site suda for a baron from Belz. It turns out that Yossi had his father buy him for Shabbos, so Sunday morning, Yossi asked his father if he can join to complete a minyan. Mordechai ben David, who is a neighbor of Yossi Green over there in Seagate, also came to that Seuda, and they had 10 people, and they all walked in, they sit down. In the middle of the Seuda, Rav Yosef Levi gets up, and he starts telling a story about this great tzaddik, his Rebbe, Rav Aaron from Belz.
There was a Yid who didn't have children for many, many years. He had daughters, but there was, I think it was like 17, 18 years that he had no children afterwards, and he very much wanted a boy. He would constantly go with the kvittel. He's looking for a son, please, a brocha for a son, and he never got a response.
Around Yom Kippur time one year, 2 years before the Rebbe passed away, this fellow came with a kvittel to the Rebbe. He says, Rebbe, I've been asking for a brocha for so long. I'm telling the Rebbe right now, if I don't get a brocha for a ben zachar, now I am not breaking my fast this Matzah Yom Kippur. The Rebbe looked at him and he smiled, and the Rebbe said 3 words in Yiddish, Oy bazoi, nadir, which means, if so, okay. After Shavuos time, 9 months later, this man had a ben zachar after 18 years.
So Rabbi Yossel tells the story, and he remembers that. And my father turns pale. I see in his face he's pale, and he looks at Rabbi Yosef and he says, Yassel, das bist du?
And Rabbi Yosef looks at Mr. Green. Their eyes lock, and immediately everybody in the room understood what is taking place right now. This man, Yossi Green's father, was the man years earlier by Reb Aaron from Belzer asking for that bracha, and Yossi Green was the baby that was born from that bracha.
That feeling of chills, I still remember a feeling of it, that something was happening at this table that was bigger than all of us. That night, I was learning brachas Daf Zayin, and we were learning together. And I learned this Gemara, and I'm very moved by the Gemara.
It talked about Yom Kippur. It talked about a bracha. And Hashem refers to Yishmael Kohen Gadol as B'ni, 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 my son. And the words just jumped out at Yossi Green and immediately asked Rav Yosef Levi, his Chavrusa, he said, you know, after what happened this morning and the discovery and the reunion between you and my father, I'm so inspired. I want to write a song about these words in the Gemara. Is it okay? He wasn't sure because it had Hashem's name, Akasrike, El Ka, Hashem, Tzavakais. Is it appropriate? Is it not appropriate?
So he says, I'm telling you 100%, write a song and put the feeling, the way you described what you felt from this matzav that was going, put that feeling into the song. I came home that night, I sat down by the piano, and it came because we were learning TANYA Rabbi Ztzuklal ben Elisha hat mir gelernt gesagt der heilige Rabbi Ztzuklal ben Elisha. It's not so much a song as it was a continuation of the learning that night. Yishmoel b'ni, oy b'ni, oy b'ni, oy b'ni. Every song that became known has a story, and that's where the song came from. Oy v'sisna haygim bonekom, b'midas orakamim, v'sikon eizlohem, lifnim nishur asadim. Da-da-da-da-da, na-na-na, na-na-na.